Well, welcome back to another weekend on the Smallholding, and today is one of the most exciting days of the year for me. That is because we're getting to harvest this bed behind me, which if you've been along watching the gardening videos before, or in fact the vlogs that we do as well, you'll know that we absolutely love the baked potato squash, a winter squash variety. You can call it a pumpkin if you like, but it's actually a winter squash, and it's one of the things that sustains us throughout the whole winter. It is the one squash that kept the longest out of everything that we've ever grown previously. In the books it says it'll keep for up to 3 months or something. We literally kept them, I think it was March we had our last one this year, if not later. Once a week, proper treat. We really like it, and it's lovely to see there's quite a few people that have been growing them themselves, and even more importantly enjoying them themselves too. So we're going to get on harvesting with this. Stephen suggested that we actually clear away all of the leaves first. We don't have a clue how many squash there are in there. I do know there's been some funky things going on with them this year. They've turned out some strange shapes and sizes for the ones that we've seen, but we're going to get all of the leaves cleared and then we'll have a look at what's left behind.
Well, so like Tracy said, we're going to get all the leaves cleared away first because we don't have a clue what's in it. But just to say, this is the first year we've actually grown anything in this bed, because this is part of our new setup in our veg plot. It was supposed to be 5 thin beds, but we messed up our maths, so this became just one big bed. So Tracy decided to just grow only baked potato squash in it this year for a bumper harvest. So let's hope we get one. So we'll, like she says, we'll strip all the leaves and see if we need a bucket or a barrow.
It's safe to say that we are going to need a barrow instead of a bucket. Absolutely boiling as well, may I add. It's Stephen said it was 16 degrees when he was on his way home from work. He's been to work today, but I absolutely think it's warmer than that. But look, even more importantly, look at this absolutely fantastic harvest we've got. We've counted them 3 times and we've come up with a different number each time. So we're settling on about 70, and that includes 3 strange ones in the corner here, which I'm going to show you in just a second. But before we do that, we've got the other small harvest, really small harvest to pick, which I'm not too sure even what varieties we've got down there.
Right, so this is the next squash bed that we're going to get cleared. Like Tracy said, we've only got maybe half a dozen in here. These were just spares that she had left over, so she just shot them in this bed. And we've only this year grew like the acorn sized squashes, because every year we do grow squash, but sometimes we go the big proper pumpkins and they end up just going to waste or going to the chickens because we can't get through them that quick. So we thought if we just grow the small ones this year, we can easily utilize them a bit more. So I can see about 3 or 4 or 5, so we'll get them up and then we'll just clear this bed. A bit bigger than an acorn, but we'll use it.
It's got a little bit of damage on it, but no, not that side of the
no, it's healed
the
itself,
rodents,
though.
but it's healed well.
Is that any good or not?
I'll get used.
There was one there, but that's turned to smush.
I was going to give you that one for your tea.
Never mind, I'll live.
Is that the last one from this bed?
The last one from there, but we've got the crown jewel around the corner. Saved it to the last. Right, well, this is our crown jewel for this bed. Look at that beauty. Tracy has got a list of what varieties they are, but we can't pinpoint them at the moment, so she'll put that on the screen. So this is the little selection we've got off these beds. Well, off these beds, off this bed. So they'll become a nice part of the winter pantry. The baked potato squash over there will be due for winter meals during the week, but all these will probably go into soups because I take soups to work every day in the winter, so these will be a welcome addition to that.
The other thing is, we only had one of the baked potato squash, well actually one in total, that had been completely demolished by the living rodents that we've got. If you've seen any of the other videos, you might know that we have problems with the things like the beetroots getting eaten. Apparently I was listening to you guys in the comments, and voles and squirrels like to eat beetroots, and carrots I think you said as well. That was Amanda, so thank you very much for that. But I'm really pleased because this is the only one that got eaten, so you are welcome to that. That's going on the compost, you can finish it off in there. But the other thing that we have got to get harvested at some point are these Greek gigantes, the beans that I'm stood next to. So you might see here I've got some green ones which are completely fresh and still growing lovely, and there's other ones that you might think, oh, they've been missed because they've gone a bit crispy. That's not missed at all. This is exactly what we want them to go like. We want them to dry out on the plant so that we can then have the dry beans in the winter pantry, and they will last all of the winter. The ones that are completely green you could use fresh if you wanted, but that's not the idea for us. We've got about a week left before the rains come again, so I'm hoping that by the end of this week that we'll be able to grab some of these, but regardless we're going to have to get them harvested, because as soon as the colder weather comes, which it did dip for a couple of days, so that's why you saw some of the squash leaves were looking a bit funky because of the cold frost that we had. But hopefully the temperatures will stay okay for the next week or so, it'll stay dry, and then after that we won't really have much more growing from them. So this is going to be the harvest, if not before, next weekend.
Well, what a haul. Another beauty winter squash haul from the veg bed. Every year we seem to do well with our squash, and this year is no different. So we like to cut the stalks long, stops the rot getting in. Well, we think it does, stops the rot getting into the actual squash itself. A couple have gone shorter and a little bit softer, so we'll use them ones first. But for now we're just going to get them all shipped over to our storeroom that we have them and let them cure over there.
Reverse, reverse. Beep, beep.
Right, well, we've got all the squash taken over into the stores. Tracy's going to get on with sorting all them out, and I'm going to get on with my next project. You've seen on the end of the last video, I'd finished with the trailer and I just started on our new project in the garden. Well, we took delivery of this 2 days ago, and who couldn't be happier with a load of wood when you get home from work? So it came on Thursday, straight on Thursday night, I started with it. So I'll take you over there and show you what we've got going on for the next project. Right, well, this is my project for the next foreseeable. So we're going to do this area out in Deccan for, we're considering a hot tub, but definitely a seating area, because it's the second week of October and this area gets all the sun now until the sun goes down over there in the west. And it's already off where we normally sit in the summer in the outside kitchen in the patio, so the sun's gone from there now. So we thought we'd utilise as much of the sun we can. So I already started, you've seen this in the last video, putting the fence up. That's still the same, nothing's changed. So I started on Thursday when I came home after work, but again, it's getting dark now at 7 o'clock, so I only get like a couple of hours on a night before it really goes in, and then we'll be on with inside jobs. So I like to try and get as much done as I can. So I came on Thursday and I got the main, oh, whoops. So I came on Thursday and I got the main part of the frame done. So this is the first section that I'm going to do, and then I'm going to extend it out again until this post here. So it's actually going to be that size, and it'll kick out a bit here, so it'll actually be a little bit wider than the fence. But I've got all that wood, I've got all that now to dig out and level, so that I can make sure all the stuff I've already put in is all level. I have obviously leveled it up as I've been going on, but there's no telling if one side is level the other until I can get it all leveled and get it straight across. So I'll get on with that while Tracy's doing the pumpkins.
Today's preserving task is these apples here. These guys have just been washed and just give them a wipe over because they've just been sat outside in a bucket for the last week or so since we picked them. I'm going to turn these into apple sauce, which will get water bathed and put on the pantry shelves. I've used a corer this week, actually made things a lot easier. So literally instead of trying to take that bit out every time I'm just starting again, it's pushing the last one out. This is the amount of scraps that I've got, and I didn't get to use these. How I've measured how many potatoes, how many apples I'm going to need, I'll show you now. Basically, these are just chopped up apples, which I've just put a drizzle of lemon over. One, to stop them browning, and two, just from a preserving point of view. I'll probably have put about 2 tablespoons in here. That's a 5.7 litre Dutch oven, and all I've done is just put a splash of water in the bottom. I'm going to give them a stir now, and then these will literally cook right down. That's how I'm measuring how many apples I'm going to use, and then whatever this gives me jars wise, I'll know for next time how much I'll get from this size Dutch oven. I'll put the lid on, and I'm just going to put it on really low. I'm using this oven at the moment because we still don't have the Arga on, but I'm hoping by next weekend that will be back on. What I am going to do though while I'm simmering this is just add some sugar. That's to taste, not from a preserving point of view. The preserving will be done by water bathing at the end. Who would think it's October?
Oh, it's Martin. Can do actually. Why is that?
Well, there's the end product in the pan at least. I haven't blended this or anything, but it is pretty smooth. There's the odd chunky bit. With these being Bramley apples, they do just dissolve down to pretty much nothing. I'm going to use these jars. I think these are 300s or 350 millilitres. We buy local honey in these, or at least we used to. And I just keep them. I've sterilised the lids and the jars, and then we're going to water bath them. I've got a big water bath on the go over here, which I can't find the trivet that fits. I've got this size, which I can find for the Instant Pot, but it's too small for this one. And I've got the other one, which I use for the canner, for the pressure canner, which is too big. So typically, anyway, so I've just put a rag in the bottom of there, and that is just slowly heating up. I used hot water out of the tap so that it didn't take too much. The reason I haven't got the lid on, which would make it heat up quicker if the lid was on, is because I'm pretty much going to bottle these up and put them straight in with the water being quite warm. It's not boiling, but it's certainly not cold. So that is the 5 jars full, and I would say I've got approximately 2 jars left in there. So options for this, I can either add another couple of jars, which I don't have sterilised, I can freeze it, or I can just use it within the next week or two. So this will be absolutely fine for a few weeks in the fridge. I'm going to get these jars straight onto water bath, and I think I might actually freeze some of this, although we're having a pork dinner this week, so I'll have a think about it. Went for the freezer option. I've got these tiny little silicone cake thingamajiggies. Anyway, I'm going to put this in the freezer in this, and then try and remember, because I'm useless at doing that in an hour or two, take them out, peel them out of here, and then I can put them into just little bags and refreeze just like that. So that what I'll do is every time I want to cook with something that needs, you know, applesauce, add maybe just under a cup in here amount wise. I literally put it in gravies and things like that, in stews, so it's going to be used over the winter by literally popping it into the slow cooker when I've got other things in there. More pork based dishes, but it goes really well with anything, to be quite honest with you, especially when that's all you've got. So I'll get those frozen, and then we'll bag them up later if I remember. In the meantime, I don't quite have my inch of water over the top of my jars, so literally this process is to preserve them to be shelf stable. Obviously you can eat the applesauce straight away. You need about an inch, at least an inch of water over the top of your jars, and the point of the rag, of the tea towel, is just to stop them smashing on the bottom and well, literally smashing. So I've got another kettle full that I'm going to put in there, and then once it reaches a boil, I'll just do about 20 minutes on the timer, and they will be good. I'll leave it rest for 5 minutes, take them out and get them on the shelves. 5 minutes cooling, and then I'm going to take them out and put them on a cloth just on here. I'm going to use the jar lifter, which is one of these things. It's quite funny, I've seen people talking about how to use these, but if you're ever unsure, that the rounded bit is what goes in the jar, but apparently people have been using them upside down. Anyway, 5 minutes.
Right, situation report. Me and Jack have been out all morning, managed to get all this earth shifted in 8 rows. So we've got these 17 inches apart, because that's just the way it worked out. So they're roughly 17 inches apart. So we've got all the channels dug for them. Now I'm just going to get them all measured up the way I want them, get the ends screwed in, get something to eat, and then we'll get some, whatever they're called, chocks cut for the middle, and then we'll fill all the middle in, and then we'll level it all up at the end. But it's coming along.
Beautiful.
It's just another quick decking update, another couple of hours after work. It's getting dark now. Just finished with the main part of the base, so just put temporarily these supports in, just hammered a load of these in all around just to give it a temporary support, just to get it all level, because it needed raising on the long stretches. Because I am going to put, if we do decide on a hot tub or whatever, it's going to need extra support in the middle here. So now I've got it all level everywhere, I can just pick out 6 or 8 spots in this section and put some concrete posts in. Now it's in, I'll cut some thicker wood and put some thicker concrete posts in this section, and then when we extend it over here, over all this stuff, it's going to be extended out to this post here. This is just going to be like a seating area here, so it won't need as many concrete supports in. So I'll just put some of these 3x5s in and screw it to that, and it should be good. But that's it for tonight, because we're losing light.
Well, it's certainly a lot cooler today, a couple of days later, where I've got everything sorted in the storeroom. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Absolutely thrilled to bits with it. I've said before, this is one of my favourite times of year in the autumn and moving through the autumn and winter, to seeing how much you can do with what you've grown and what you've harvested, what you're preserving, etc. But this is how things are looking in here now that we've brought all of the baked potato squash in, and we've got them set up ready to just basically, so that we can keep an eye on them and check them very frequently, so that when we come in, if anything's looking like it needs to be used, then we can make sure that we put that to the front of the queue to be used. We tend to start eating through these in about November time. Generally it coincides with when we put the alga back on in our kitchen, because that is kind of when the colder weather comes, and I find that cooking these on the bottom of the alga, which is basically like a hot plate on a roasting tray, face down after they've been cut open and the seeds scoop out, is the best way to cook them. We absolutely love them like that. It just coincides well, and so that kind of leads us through November, December, January, February. 4 months of eating them. We're definitely going to have more than one of these a week. We've got plenty to be going on with, so I'm really pleased with how that's turned out. I'm also just looking at the onions and making sure that these are all cleaned up, because this is what we're working through at the moment, and seeing how long these will last as well. So this is what it's looking like. We've got them all along the edges, a couple or a few up the top there. The ones that need to be eaten, I knocked the stem off that one, so this one will need to be eaten sooner rather than later, but it's absolutely solid still. And then all the way around the back there, about on the back of the onions, which are just in this bucket in front of me here. So they are going to last us a good while. And what I'm doing, I'm also just working through the onions, double checking them. If there's spots like this, that is rock solid. It's just a kind of where it's probably got damp on the skin and dried out, but they're absolutely fine. There's a few in the bucket that are like that, that I've identified that'll need using first, and this is what we're working through now, our glamorous bucket of onions. But that's what the squash are looking like. Absolutely fabulous, chuffed to bits with them. So we're going to start having those within the next week or so.
Right, it's the end of the week and we're still cracking on with the hot tub area or decking area. So we're just finishing off supporting the last bits here in the centre. So all I've done is cut these supports like that, dug holes. I've dug 18 holes, 6 there, 6 in the middle and 6 at that end, down to have reached solid ground. Some are deeper than others, but that doesn't matter as long as I've hit solid ground. So I'm just cutting supports like that, and I'm just screwing them to the boards so that they sit on the top of them, so they're nice and solid. It's all level. And then the idea is I'm going to pour every hole up until a couple of inches above that with concrete. and then that should create its own like concrete base for each one to sit on, and that should make it more than strong enough. So that's as far as we've got in this video, so join us in the next one and hopefully it'll be finished.
A slightly shorter video this week, guys. Thank you for watching and tuning in. If the longer or shorter, it's just because that's how it's worked out and there's no reason behind it, but thank you to everyone that's checked in and have a lovely week.